The Apollo 11 mission, truth or conspiracy? The arrival of man on the moon in 1969 is a historic milestone, but it is also surrounded by conspiracy theories that question its veracity. Let's analyze the skeptics' arguments, the evidence that supports NASA's official version, and the possible motivations behind a hoax. Arguments of skeptics. Inconsistent shadows in photos. Some argue that the shadows in photos of the moon are not parallel, which would be impossible if the only source of light was the sun. American flag waving. The American flag appears to be waving in some photos, which would be unlikely in an atmosphereless environment like the moon. Absence of stars in the photos. Photos of the moon do not show stars, which is strange, since the lunar atmosphere is extremely rarefied. Impact craters. The lunar dust kicked up by the astronauts would not have dispersed as expected due to the absence of an atmosphere. Radiation. The astronauts reportedly died from exposure to radiation in the Van Allen belt during the trip. Lost original recordings. The original recordings of the Apollo 11 mission were lost by NASA, which raises suspicions about the veracity of the event. Defense of the veracity of the mission. Live broadcast. The Apollo 11 mission was followed by millions of people around the world through television broadcast. Testimony of thousands of people. Thousands of people worked on the Apollo 11 mission, and there is no evidence that they participated in a hoax. Lunar rocks. Lunar rocks brought back from the moon are unlike any rock found on Earth, and their analysis has confirmed their lunar origin. Explanation for inconsistent shadows. The inconsistent shadows can be explained by the perspective of the photos and the uneven lunar terrain. Explanation for flag fluttering. The American flag appears to flutter because it was moved by astronauts when it was planted in the lunar soil. Explanation for the absence of stars. The absence of stars in the photos can be explained by the camera settings used and the luminosity of the moon. Possible motivations for a hoax. Cold War. In 1969, the USA and the Soviet Union were fighting the Cold War. A successful trip to the moon would be a propaganda coup for the US, demonstrating its technological superiority and power. International prestige. The space race was a symbol of status and power. The US wanted to show the world its ability to perform extraordinary feats. Economic interests. The space mission could generate contracts and investments for American companies, in addition to boosting the country's economy. Conclusion. Although NASA presents evidence of the Apollo 11 mission, such as lunar rocks and the testimonies of thousands of people, the arguments of skeptics and possible political motivations for a hoax cannot be ignored. The loss of the original recordings and the inconsistencies in photos and videos of the mission raise doubts about the veracity of the event. It is important to emphasize that this analysis does not deny the possibility that the mission took place, but only raises the hypothesis that it may have been a hoax. The truth about Apollo 11 is still a subject of debate and investigation.
2, 1, 0, all engine running. Liftoff, we have a liftoff, 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. 40 feet down, 2.5. Picking up some dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down. Take shadow. 4 forward. 4 forward. Drift into the right a little. Down a half. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot. Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The limb footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Tony, this is so great you can't believe it. I believe it, Charlie. It's raining, John. Look at it go, would you, Charlie? You got all your steering. It's great. Oh, this is going to be some kind of different ride. Hippity hoppity, hippity hopping over hill and dale. Da 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 da. Be hopping along. One. Ignition. Flat away, Houston. Vector good.
We're burning flight.
That's
Roger,
flight.
pressed. Looks good, flight.
Observation shot flight.
Roger.
Descending. Stand by for splashdown. Recovery